Awesome. Welcome to our mini series. I'll be joined by Josh Gatiss very, very soon. And this series is called Serving God. And we're going to be looking at a bit about, the roles behind church, like how is church put on and the different aspects of it.
Hello, I'm Josh. I'm going to be the other half of this conversation in this series, going through with Kane the different aspects of church life and serving the church.
Hello, Josh Gatiss.
Hello, Kane Blake.
How are you on this fine afternoon?
I'm very well, thank you.
So,
Yes.
today then, youth work. Wait. Okay, so youth work in comparison to kids work. We sort of
Yes.
touched on the difference in our last video, but do you want to just go over that again? What's the difference between kids work and youth work?
Yeah, I think kids work is more about laying the foundation and kind of introducing the Bible for the first time to kind of 0 to 11-year-olds. When you get to that youth age, I suppose, maybe 11 to 18, that kind of age bracket, I think it's more about, how they mature in their faith and how they, develop from that foundation and,
Sure. First then, how does youth work work in church? Like, what happens during youth work in church?
I think it can vary across churches how it happens. Just to take an example from our church, for instance, there's a kind of youth group kind of thing where young people meet together. I don't know, once a week. There's usually a little talk about a Bible passage, and it's kind of like church, but it's slightly more informal and in a way that younger people can understand, basically. Yeah, and there's usually some other wacky fun stuff that we do, so yeah.
A prime example would be bucketball. What a game.
Oh yes,
What a game that is.
Classic game.
Love a bit of bucketball. And food. Who doesn't like a bit of food? You don't get much of food during the church service. That's something that needs to be changed, I think.
The king of grafted that's what our youth group is called. The king of grafted snacks are, of course, donuts.
Absolutely, indeed.
Gotta love
Yes,
donuts.
please. Now, the real question is, what's your favourite type of donut? This is harder than any other question you're going to get.
Yeah. This is like the basis of the whole YouTube video. No. I would have to say with the jam.
Just a plain jam donut.
Yeah, the jam donut.
I'm going to have to go for custard, I'm afraid.
Oh dear.
Anyway, when we were planning this video, we sort of talked about how, youth work is sort of, well, as you said earlier, it's helping like the older kids, as it were, mature in their faith and grow up knowing sort of more about what church is. In terms of kids work, they often go out during the middle of the service, whereas the youth normally stay in like most of it.
As you get to a certain age, like 11, 12 and up, basically, I think what our church does certainly is they try to merge the kind of they merge the youth into with the adults and to help them be a part of the of kind of the adult church. Just listening to like a kind of standard proper sermon, that would really make you think, I think so. Also, we were talking about how I think especially our youth workers, they really encourage us to get stuck in with serving the church, which is such like a massive part of both church and our walk with Jesus. Jesus, we're called to serve. We're servants of God. That's what we're called to do, and to serve our church is a really important part of that. And I guess as youth workers or being part of the youth, that is the job. It's to help you along the way in terms of
helping you serve the church, seeing which ways you can help serve both the church and community and others and all that sort of thing.
For example, I know you help with the slides a lot in services, and we both play music up front a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I do the sound desk sometimes as well, and that's really encouraging. It's great that our ministers give young people the opportunity to take on these responsibilities, and it's really great that they do that. It makes us feel a part of the church family, and want to continue with church into our adult lives, basically.
And I think what we were talking about in the last video is sort of this idea that we're all children of God. We're all followers of Jesus. There's not like a ranking system. There's only like more mature Christians maybe, and it's not that the more mature Christians are better Christians. It's just that they are maybe more experienced, if you like, or they slightly more knowledgeable, which us as less mature Christians can definitely learn off of, and it's definitely someone that we can go to if we have like questions or need help with anything.
Another big thing about youth work that happens outside of the church building are things like camps and youth events. So
Sure.
There's Woolly 2, there's Woolly 3. Actually, there are 4 Woolies. So yeah, and there's 4 Mark as well. There's Sorted, The Gathering, Soul Survivor, Creation Fest, Big Church Day Out, Wildfires. You get the point. There
Loads
are
and loads and loads.
dozens.
Yeah.
You had some experience with Soul Survivor. I've never been to Soul Survivor. Do you want to just like explain what kind of these big events look like?
Yeah. So the Gathering is basically it's like a couple of hours. It's like a night, which actually our church hosts, or it's in our church building, but actually it's Youth for Christ that hosts that. And yeah, so basically just play a couple of games, worship God through music, have a little talk from the Bible, just have a bit of fun, learning more about who God is and about what He's done for us and all that stuff. And I guess for things like that, which is also similar to Sorted, which is basically the same but a whole day long, it really focuses in on like playing the games, getting people really into it, and getting people to interact with each other, because we're British, we don't talk to each other.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so through these games, you get to talk to each other, and I guess that's what all this is about. When we talk about Christianity, it's about relationship, not just with our God, but with everyone around us. We're always told to love each other, and that's the strongest command in the Bible, is to love. And then compared to Soul Survivor, which is basically on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So Soul Survivor is actually also a week or 5 days long, but you like camp, and there's like loads of different seminars and stuff during the day, and then you have a couple of main meetings each day. And Soul Survivor definitely, and they've said this, is they definitely focus more on the worship and like the music, in terms of how they go about stuff. So in terms of prioritizing stuff, they definitely prioritize music. And yeah, so there's lots of music as a talk. There's less games when it comes to Soul Survivor, but neither is better, neither is worse. It depends what you think is the best way of leading youth to the gospel, to God's word. I think either way works. I don't mind playing games. I'm a bit of a kid when it comes to that. But I also love just spending hours in song to God. It's great. Did you want to dig into a bit about like summer camps and stuff?
Summer camps it's a bit like a residential. There's a huge venue, so usually we take over a boarding school for the summer, and huge amounts of planning are needed, and there's all sorts, like seminars, there's morning meeting, evening meeting every day, and so on. And there's literally so much. There's the washout.
Oh yes, the woolly washout.
Absolutely. There's on Foremark as well. There's a washout too, and
Nice.
yeah. So it's basically just like that constantly for 7 days, and it does sound full on, but it's really good fun, and it's a great way. It's a great way to strengthen your faith. If you're a young person, it was going to be our last ever year as a member on Foremark actually. So we're both, well, one of us is 18, not you yet.
I'm a baby.
Yeah, so it was going to be our last year. So, and unfortunately, it got cancelled, and super gutted about it. But there are also opportunities for the young people to be leaders on these camps, and I really want to be an kind of assistant leader. They're called Bereans. That's the posh name for it.
Yeah.
So I really want to be a Berean. I think being an assistant leader is a really great way of learning about how to teach young people the Bible, and kind of that young adult kind of age, the Bible, and being role models to them. So
definitely, that's a great point that you brought up. Why don't we dig into that a bit more then? The importance of bringing up leaders like through youth. Like we spoke about in our last video, the importance that these years as kids are for everyone. This is where we develop, this is where we grow, this is where we learn most, and where our imagination is going wild. So, can really get in there. Why don't we just talk briefly a bit about like how is best to encourage to bring up like leaders in terms of like young leaders who want to lead. So maybe start off, what's your experience been like? So when did you first think, I want to do that?
Before this whole pandemic started, I wasn't too keen on the idea of being an assistant leader or Berean, as they call it, because I thought it would be really full on, and I would just it would just be a really tiring experience, and not fun at all, and stuff like that. But I think when this pandemic started, and when I had that chance to read the Bible a bit more, I started to think, okay, maybe being an assistant leader would be a really good idea to it would be a really good experience for me. And I'm going to miss my final year as a member, so I would love to go back there again and see everyone, and to have that experience from as a leader's in a leader's perspective, basically.
Through your years during camp, then was there the one person, or were there people who you looked up to and were like, gosh, those guys are really good at teaching us kids like the Bible, and they make it really interesting? Were there any people that you looked up to, and was there like stuff that you learned from them? Maybe
there are many different leaders and people who I look up to, absolutely, during Foremark and Willie. But one guy in particular is the leader of the Bereans at Foremark. He's called Stephen. Wacky guy, but he's so enthusiastic when he teaches the Bible, and he was actually my dorm leader for my first Foremark, and he's really great. He's so enthusiastic about the Bible, and it's clear that he's passionate about teaching, and you see that eagerness in teaching the Bible to young people, and I'm really looking forward to learning from him about how I could teach the Bible to kind of youth age. Has there been anybody like that for you?
I mean, likewise, there's so many people just all over the place who you look at and you're like, damn, you're good at your job, and like, wow, you're very obviously enthusiastic about this. wow, and you're like, that's so cool. I want to do that as well. And there's so many people. I don't think I can bring it down to one person in particular. I think, you know, God's just been working. I just love it how God works in so, like, often it's quite subtly, but in so many different ways, like in your life, to like bring about this one like desire or this one event that happens. I just find that so awesome. But yeah, so I don't think there's one in particular. Awesome. So I think that's us done. That was great. Thank you so much. We will be back next week with, what are we back with, Josh?
We are back with I think it's we're talking about community, aren't we?
And, yes, we are. That is right.